Paris, the city of light. And at its heart stands one of the world's most iconic landmarks, the Eiffel Tower, or as locals call her, La Dame de Fer, the Iron Lady. Built by engineer Gustave Eiffel and his company for the 1889 World's Fair. This wrought iron lattice tower was initially criticized for its design, but what was meant to be temporary became a permanent symbol of French ingenuity. Standing at 330 meters, the Eiffel Tower held the title of the world's tallest human-made structure for 41 years. With restaurants on its first and second levels, visitors can choose to climb the more than 600 steps to the second level or take a lift. The top level, at 276 meters, is a breathtaking observation deck. And for a personal touch, it holds a private apartment originally built for Gustave Eiffel himself. Whether you're ascending to the top or admiring it from below, the Eiffel Tower remains a beloved icon, drawing millions of visitors each year. The Eiffel Tower, a testament to engineering, a symbol of Paris, and a monument that continues to captivate the world. The Eiffel Tower was envisioned as a centerpiece for the 1889 Exposition Universelle. This World's Fair celebrated the centennial of the French Revolution. It was originally intended to be a temporary structure standing for only 20 years. Gustave Eiffel recognized its scientific potential, particularly for radio telegraphy, which ultimately saved it from demolition. The initial design concept came from Maurice Koechlin and Émile Nouguier, two engineers at Eiffel's company. Koechlin sketched the idea in May 1884. The design featured 4 lattice girders, spreading at the base and meeting at the top, connected by metal trusses. Stephen Sauvestre, the head of the company's architectural department, refined the design. Sauvestre added decorative elements like arches at the base and a glass pavilion on the first level. Gustave Eiffel, initially hesitant, bought the patent rights and presented the plans, emphasizing the tower's symbolism of engineering, industry and science. Construction of the tower stalled until 1886 thanks to political changes. Jules Grévy became president, and Edouard Lockroy was appointed as the Minister for Trade. This new leadership passed a budget for the exhibition and changed the rules of the design competition. Under the new rules, all entries had to propose a 300-meter metal tower on the Champ de Mars. This change effectively guaranteed that Gustave Eiffel's design would be chosen. In May of 1886, a special commission reviewed Eiffel's proposal, concluding that all rival designs were either impractical or lacked detail. After a brief debate about the tower's exact location, a contract was signed in January 1887. Eiffel received 1.5 million francs towards construction, and in return secured the rights to all income from the tower for the next 20 years. He later used this leverage to set up a new company to manage the tower, personally providing half of the initial capital. While the Eiffel Tower was celebrated as a monument to French liberty, its construction was partially financed by a predatory banking scheme. The French bank Crédit Industriel et Commercial, or CIC, helped fund the tower. But at the same time, the CIC and its partners were extracting millions from the newly independent nation of Haiti. In the 19th century, France forced Haiti to pay massive reparations for lost property, which included formerly enslaved people. The CIC's predatory loans helped perpetuate this double debt, draining nearly half of all taxes Haiti collected on its exports. According to the New York Times, while the bank was building a landmark in Paris, it was simultaneously choking Haiti's economy and hindering its ability to build vital infrastructure like schools and hospitals. Long before its financing was scrutinized, the Eiffel Tower was met with intense public controversy. Many people thought a 300-meter iron structure was impossible to build and an eyesore. This debate pitted the city's artists and architects against its engineers. In 1887, a committee of 300 was formed, led by prominent architect Charles Garnier, to oppose the tower. They published a petition titled "Artists Against the Eiffel Tower." The petition famously called the design a useless and monstrous Eiffel Tower and a gigantic black smokestack. It predicted that the hateful shadow of the hateful column would crush and humiliate Paris's ancient treasured monuments. Many critics would not be won over, with some, like writer Guy de Maupassant, supposedly eating at the tower's restaurant just so he didn't have to look at it. Initially, the Eiffel Tower was met with harsh criticism from Parisian artists and intellectuals, who considered it a monstrous blight on the city's elegant skyline. However, engineer Gustave Eiffel defended his creation by comparing it to the Egyptian pyramids, asking, "Why would something admirable in Egypt become hideous in Paris?" After its construction, some critics eventually came around, but the writer Guy de Maupassant reportedly ate in the tower's restaurant daily because it was the only place he could not see it. Over time, the tower was widely embraced as a symbol of Paris and a masterpiece of structural engineering. In 1918, poet Guillaume Apollinaire celebrated this new legacy by creating a calligram, a poem shaped like the tower, as a show of nationalist pride during the war against Germany. Today, the Eiffel Tower is regarded as a remarkable piece of structural art, featured extensively in films and literature. On January 28, 1887, work began on the structure's foundations. The legs facing east and south were relatively simple, each resting on 4 2-meter concrete slabs. The north and west legs, however, presented a complex challenge due to their proximity to the river. For these, 15-meter compressed air caissons were driven nearly 22 meters deep to support 6-meter-thick concrete slabs. On June 30th, with the foundations complete, the shoes for the ironwork were secured. Each shoe was anchored by 2 7.5-meter-long bolts, 10 centimeters in diameter. The visible work on site was only part of the story. The drawing office completed an enormous amount of preparation, creating thousands of general and detailed drawings for the 18,038 parts needed. The project's success depended on remarkable engineering precision. Rivet holes were specified to within 1 millimeter, and angles were calculated to a single second of arc. Components, some pre-assembled, arrived by horse-drawn cart. They were first bolted together on site before being permanently joined with rivets. If a piece didn't fit perfectly, it was sent back to the factory, with no on-site alterations. In total, 2.5 million rivets were used to join over 18,000 pieces. Construction of the Eiffel Tower was not an easy process. In the beginning, builders tried to construct the legs as cantilevers, but this approach had to be paused. Work stopped so crews could build massive timber scaffolding. The delay and visible scaffolding triggered public doubt. Sensational headlines filled the press with stories like Eiffel suicide and Gustave Eiffel has gone mad. The project also faced criticism from famous artists like Charles Garnier, who called the tower a truly tragic street lamp, and Alexandre Dumas, who described it as an odious shadow of the odious column. But Gustave Eiffel had a meticulous plan. To ensure a precise alignment of the legs, Eiffel's team used powerful hydraulic jacks at the base of each leg, and constructed the tower at a slightly steeper angle than necessary. Sandboxes were even used in the scaffolding to help with adjustments. For safety, the 300 on-site employees were protected with movable walkways, guardrails and screens. This paid off, as only a single life was lost during the entire construction. With the help of unique creeper cranes that moved up the legs, the critical stage of joining the legs at the first level was successfully completed by March 1888. Paris, 1889. The world turns its eyes to the City of Light for the Universal Exposition, a grand celebration of industry and art. But all anyone can talk about is its magnificent centerpiece. A towering iron lattice rising higher than anything built before. The Eiffel Tower. On March 31st, with the structure complete but the elevators still unfinished, its creator, Gustave Eiffel, leads a climb to the summit alongside government officials and journalists. It's a long, hour-plus climb of 1,710 steps. At the very top, Eiffel hoists a giant French flag with a 25-gun salute echoing below. The public inauguration comes just over a month later. And though the lifts aren't ready, nearly 30,000 visitors make the epic climb in the first few weeks. During the exposition, almost 2 million people visit the tower. The tower is a spectacle, lit up at night by hundreds of gas lamps. A powerful beacon sends out red, white, and blue light across the fairgrounds, and a cannon blast from the top announces the day's opening and closing. On the second level, the newspaper Le Figaro even has a press, printing a special souvenir edition for visitors. And at the top, there's a post office where you can send postcards as a one-of-a-kind memento. For those more creatively inclined, sheets of paper are hung on the walls daily for people to record their impressions. Eiffel himself described the resulting collection as truly curious. The Exposition of 1889 proved the tower was more than just a passing novelty. It was an instant success, and an enduring monument that would soon become the global symbol of Paris itself. The Eiffel Tower drew many famous visitors during its time at the World's Fair, including Thomas Edison. The American inventor was so impressed he visited Gustave Eiffel's private apartment at the top of the tower. As a gift, Edison presented Eiffel with one of his new inventions, a phonograph, and left a message in his guestbook praising Eiffel as a brave builder. But the tower was more than just a place for entertaining guests. Eiffel used his apartment as a high-altitude laboratory to conduct scientific research. He made meteorological observations and performed experiments on air resistance by dropping objects from the tower. The Eiffel Tower was originally intended to be a temporary structure, built with a 20-year permit and scheduled for dismantling in 1909. However, its scientific potential, particularly for radiotelegraphy, saved it. Experiments proved the tower's immense value for wireless communication. This led to its concession being extended, and from 1910, the tower also began broadcasting the International Time Service, securing its permanent place in the Paris skyline. The Eiffel Tower, a global icon, has witnessed a century of change, undergoing significant upgrades and playing a starring role in history, science, and even some unusual events. Early in the 20th century, the tower's original hydraulic lifts were upgraded. For the 1900 Exposition Universelle, the lifts in the east and west legs were replaced with innovative French-made ones, featuring a compensating mechanism to maintain a level floor during ascent. The north pillar's lift was even replaced with a staircase, and both the first and second levels were modified to accommodate visitors. The tower's role expanded beyond tourism. In 1910, it became part of a system broadcasting time signals across a vast radius, leading to the establishment of the International Time Bureau, though war delayed its full implementation. The Eiffel Tower also became a stage for daring feats. In 1901, Alberto Santos Dumont famously flew his airship around the tower to win a prize, demonstrating the potential of lighter-than-air flight. In a more tragic incident, a tailor named Franz Reichelt died attempting to test his wearable parachute by jumping from the first level in 1912. During World War I, the Eiffel Tower proved invaluable. Its radio transmitter jammed German communications, aiding the Allies at the First Battle of the Marne. The tower also intercepted crucial intelligence, including a coded message that played a part in the capture and conviction of the spy Mata Hari. The mid-20th century saw more transformations. From 1925 to 1934, Citroën signs illuminated 3 sides of the tower, making it the world's tallest advertising space. Experimental low-resolution television transmissions also began from the tower in 1935. The tower even inspired art, appearing in Robert Delaunay's 1911 Cubist painting, Champs de Mars. The Red Tower. The tower faced threats and odd occurrences as well. Con artist Victor Lustig sold the tower for scrap metal twice in 1925. A pilot died trying to fly under it in 1926. In 1930, the tower lost its title as the world's tallest structure to the Chrysler Building. During the German occupation of Paris in World War II, the French sabotaged the lifts, forcing German soldiers to climb the stairs. Hitler ordered the tower's demolition, but the military governor disobeyed the order. When the Allies neared in 1944, French resistance fighters replaced the German flag with a tricolor. Post-war, repairs were made, and in 1957, the tower's present radio aerial was added, further increasing its height. The tower was officially declared a historical monument in 1964. More recently, the original lifts between the second and third levels were replaced in 1982, improving speed and efficiency. In 1986, the Fives Lille lifts also underwent extensive refurbishment, transitioning to a modern electric-driven hydraulic system. The Eiffel Tower continues to inspire. In 1984, Robert Moriarty flew a Beechcraft Bonanza under it. A.J. Hackett performed one of his first bungee jumps from the top in 1987. The Eiffel Tower was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1991. The tower was even almost moved to Montreal for Expo 67. Today, the Eiffel Tower remains an enduring symbol, welcoming millions of visitors. Currently, it is the most visited paid monument globally, attracting 7 million visitors annually. The Eiffel Tower is a beacon of celebration, especially on New Year's Eve and Bastille Day. For the countdown to the year 2000, it was covered in flashing lights and searchlights with 20,000 bulbs giving it a sparkle that delighted onlookers. This memorable light show continued in some form for years, including a period where the tower sparkled blue. Despite being criticized during its construction, the Eiffel Tower was a feat of expert engineering. Its designer, Gustave Eiffel, was a seasoned bridge builder who focused on wind resistance. He used a clever curved design to ensure both strength and a sense of beauty. The tower's wrought iron structure, weighing 7,300 tons, is surprisingly lightweight for its size. For example, the air in a box surrounding the tower weighs almost as much as the iron itself. A curious side effect of its metal construction is that thermal expansion can cause the top of the tower to shift by up to 18 centimeters on a hot sunny day. The tower also sways slightly in the wind, but only by about 9 centimeters. The tower welcomed its 200 millionth guest in 2002, and now hosts about 7 million visitors each year. Inside, guests can take lifts or stairs to different levels. You can enjoy a meal at the first floor Lee 58 Tour Eiffel, or the gourmet Le Jules Verne restaurant on the second level. The first floor also famously hosted a seasonal ice rink, and more recently, a glass floor was installed during a 2014 renovation. At the very top of the Eiffel Tower, designer Gustave Eiffel built a private 1,000 square foot apartment for himself. The top floor offers incredible views. The cozy space stood in stark contrast to the tower's industrial ironwork. It was reportedly decorated in the simple style dear to scientists, featuring warm wallpaper, a piano, and wooden furnishings. Eiffel used the apartment primarily as a laboratory for scientific experiments and a place to entertain prestigious guests, including inventor Thomas Edison. He reportedly never slept there. The apartment was the envy of Paris society, and Eiffel received many offers to rent the space, which he always declined. The original apartment was later repurposed for technical facilities, but today, you can see a recreated portion of it. The display includes wax figures of Eiffel, his daughter, and Thomas Edison to commemorate his famous visit. In an effort to recognize the scientific community and address public backlash, Gustave Eiffel had the names of 72 French scientists, engineers, and mathematicians engraved on the tower. The engravings honor French professionals from 1789 to 1889, including figures like chemist Antoine Lavoisier and mathematician Gaspard Monge. Initially, the engravings were painted over at the beginning of the 20th century, becoming obscured. They were restored to their original appearance by the company operating the tower in 1986-87. The Eiffel Tower's appearance has evolved over time. Its color is not uniform but rather uses 3 shades, darker at the base and lighter at the top, to blend with the Parisian sky. Originally, it was reddish-brown, but this was changed to a bronze hue known as Eiffel Tower Brown in 1968. For the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris, the tower was temporarily painted a gold color. After the Olympics, Mayor Anne Hidalgo proposed making the large Olympic rings, originally installed for the Games, a permanent fixture on the tower. This proposal faced controversy, particularly from the Eiffel family and residents concerned about altering the protected monument. The original 30-ton rings would need to be replaced with lighter versions for a permanent display. The tower also includes decorative grillwork arches, added for aesthetic purposes and to create a more impressive entrance, rather than for structural support. It's a common movie trope that the Eiffel Tower is visible from every Parisian window, but due to zoning restrictions limiting most buildings to 7 stories, only a few tall buildings actually offer a clear view. The Eiffel Tower is repainted every 7 years with 60 tons of paint to protect it from rust. The most recent major repaint, its 20th overall, took place between 2019 and 2022. This extensive restoration was done in preparation for the 2024 Paris Olympics. During this process, the tower reverted to its original 1907 Eiffel Tower yellow-brown color. The project faced delays due to the pandemic and the presence of lead in the existing paint layers. The use of lead paint on the tower was discontinued in 2001 due to environmental concerns. The Eiffel Tower has been a hub for radio transmission since the early 1900s. In 1909, a permanent underground radio center was built near the South Pillar and remains in use today. A key moment in its communications history occurred on November 20, 1913, when it was used to exchange wireless signals with the U.S. Naval Observatory to measure the longitude difference between Paris and Washington, D.C. Today, the tower transmits radio and digital television signals. In 1957, a television antenna was installed, adding 18.7 meters to the tower's height. In 2000, further work added another 5.3 meters, bringing the total height to 324 meters. Analog television broadcasts from the tower ended on March 8, 2011. The tower's pinnacle height has changed several times over the years due to antenna additions. When completed in 1889, the Eiffel Tower was the world's tallest structure. It held this record until 1929, when it was surpassed by the Chrysler Building in New York. In 1958, the Tokyo Tower became the world's tallest tower, but the Eiffel Tower remains the tallest freestanding structure in France. The Eiffel Tower is one of the most popular paid attractions in the world, welcoming approximately 7 million visitors each year. Over 300 million people have visited since its completion in 1889. The average daily visitors can reach 25,000, which often leads to long queues. However, the Eiffel Tower's image and its use are subject to certain restrictions. While the tower structure itself has been in the public domain since 1993, the special lighting displays installed in 1985 and 1999 are considered artistic works protected by copyright. Société d'exploitation de la Tour Eiffel, SETE, manages the tower's image and considers any illumination a separate copyrighted work. Publishing contemporary photos or videos of the lit tower at night without permission for commercial use is considered illegal in France and other countries. This means images or videos of the lit tower at night are rare on stock photo websites and in media outlets. While individuals can take and share photos for personal use, the copyright claim has sparked controversy and is mainly aimed at commercial exploitation. The copyright on the nighttime lighting, designed by Pierre Bidot, is set to expire in 2091, 70 years after his death in 2021. The Eiffel Tower's fame has inspired a wide variety of replicas around the globe. One of the earliest examples is the Blackpool Tower in England, built after the town's mayor saw the original in 1889. In Japan, the Tokyo Tower was also inspired by the Eiffel Tower and constructed in 1958. And you can find another well-known example in Prague, the Petrin Lookout Tower. Across the United States, several scale models exist, including a half-scale version in Las Vegas and 2/3 scale models at the Kings Island and Kings Dominion amusement parks. Creating a full-size replica today would be an expensive undertaking. A 2011 estimate suggested it would cost around $480 million, which is more than 10 times the original's cost when adjusted for inflation. If you enjoyed watching this video, like, comment, and share it to show your support. Join the conversation and help grow the community by subscribing to our channel.